There we go. Rough Magic, starring Donald Vaughn Griffin, Kieran Torres, Lloyd Montgomery, me, the GM, Brandon Blackmore, and if we're lucky, very lucky, Leslie will come by later and we will play. Last week, or last game session anyway, you guys visited the Circus of Tomorrow, and which there was, surprise, a murder. But you helped the police, particularly Detective Inspector Seagal, solve that murder, find the culprits, resolve everything, and everybody's terribly, terribly grateful for your assistance. That was in early January. Weeks go by. It's now not quite spring, but any day now it'll be spring. So the snow is melted, there's more sunshine, people are generally more upbeat, more happy. Oh, by the way, Rough Magic this week is brought to you by Blackback Honey Rye from Silverback Distillery here in Virginia.
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
Which I am drinking with hibiscus tea. Well, it's actually Red Zinger from Celestial Seasonings, but it's hibiscus tea.
So, yeah, it's a hibiscus lemongrass with a little bit of raspberry.
I like it.
I do too. It's one of my favorites.
It mixes well with the honey rye. It really does.
I'm sure.
I bet it does. I'm kind of jealous. All I've got is a $3 bottle of Merlot.
Wow. You can't go too far wrong for $3. I went really wrong for $2 once, but that's a different story. So, Night Train. Don't ever buy Night Train. No.
Oh,
it's terrible. It's genuinely terrible.
Right up, yeah, right up there with Mad Dog and
Boone's Farm.
Oh no, Boone's Farm is Kool-Aid compared to Night Train.
No, Night Train.
It was just gasoline.
It was just terrible. I was like, well, it's wine. How bad could it be? It's wine. No, just awful. Just pungent. Just truly repulsive. So
enhanced.
Yeah.
It's also got really bad vodka splashed in for extra credit. That's part of what gives it that flavor.
Okay.
It's the cheapness of the vodka that they add to bring up the BAV.
Oh, just awful. All right. So anyway,
yeah.
So it's not quite spring, but close to spring. The big news in the recent weeks has been the vampire murders. Yeah, big deal. What actually happened was a truck. There's a accident at a intersection, and a delivery truck got into an accident, and what the police found in the back of the delivery truck were a bunch of bodies wrapped up in plastic. Was that me? Is that you? Who's that?
Probably. Oh, that was Leslie texting me. Hold on.
One moment while we hear what Leslie has to say.
Can you Gmail me the link and I'll try and see if the Mac will work?
Give it a try. Yeah. Did you do it?
No, I'm still recovering from being asked that.
All right.
But okay. Okay, hold on. I think I can manage this. Compose.
Oh.
Email.
Hang on. I'll send it. I'll send it to her through email as well. Apparently, she sent me an email 25 minutes ago, and I wasn't looking at my email, so we'll send her that. And maybe she'll find her way here.
I'm hitting send now on one to her.
One way or another.
Yeah, okay, so she just got a bunch of stuff, and that's great.
All right, we can How long you want to wait? Give her a minute.
Yeah.
Shouldn't take more than a minute. I'll pause. Okay, we have no Leslie yet, so we're going to keep going. Anyway,
Okay.
big news recently, the vampire murders, and more for your purposes important, the manhunt for the vampire murderers, it's uncertain. Anyway, so like a week ago, car crash, delivery truck, half a dozen bodies wrapped in plastic. It was revealed later in the newspaper, excuse me, that all of the bodies had been drained of blood. The newspaper dubbed them the vampire murders, and it has become the event of the day, the big thing that everybody's paying attention to. So, how exciting! You guys don't know any vampires.
Nope.
As far as you know, there aren't any. But that's the newspaper is making a big deal of it, and it's all anybody's talking about. It's the OJ trial of its time, or that was, I guess, for people who are hideously old. What would be the current thing? The Mueller investigation of the day, more or less. It's what are the police doing? Who's to blame? Are there vampires in Cambrai-sur-Mer? So it's a big deal. So, one day, Detective Inspector Seagal comes into the Café Azure American, as he often does. Let's remind people what he looks like. Wait, what? No, there we go. This guy. Detective Inspector Seagal comes in, and he is clearly a little bit frayed. He's on his he's tired. He's got like circles under his eyes. He hasn't been sleeping. He's just like looking beat down. He orders a drink, and somebody brings him a drink in the bar, and he like knocks it back, and he puts it down, and he says, "Another one, see if you play." And
I send him a cranberry and vodka.
He looks at it with a skeptical eye, and he looks around, and he sees you. And he's like, "You think you're funny? This is a joke, right?"
It is. Not at your expense.
He toasts
At the
to
expense
you,
of
and
every other.
he sips it, puts it down. He's like, "Oh, my friend." He picks up and walks over to you and sits down by you. Takes off his hat. He's like, "This has been really something. Last week is... I don't know if you've heard about this. The vampire murders. Have you heard of this?"
Yes. Yes. Only what I read in the papers, and you can never trust the papers.
No, it is fake news. No, really, you can't trust anything you see. But what they don't tell you is, or they may have told you, it was in the paper, actually. Thanks to all of the positive press and attention that I received as the detective inspector who solved the Circus of Tomorrow murder in front of the glitterati of Cambrai-sur-Mer, I've been put in charge of this investigation, and there have been whispers that if I do well, I may be the next chief inspector of the Cambrai-sur-Mer Police Department. And if I don't do well, there's a good chance I will be wearing a uniform a month from now. So, yes, this is not good. I like my job. I like what I do. I walk around. I visit pleasant people like you. I have a drink or two. I accept a bribe or 2 or 3. You know, it's a good life. I don't really want to be chief inspector, but I definitely don't want to be wearing a uniform. So, I'll tell you the problem. The problem with this is my superiors insist that the vampire murders are actual vampires. Vampires. Everyone knows there are no vampires in the Empire. The last vampires in the Empire were killed in the 1920s in Romania. The last vampires in France were 300 years ago. There are no vampires in the Empire. But no, they think there must be vampires. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it's magic. But no one will listen to me, and I'm not allowed the resources to investigate properly, because if it were magic, that would be another department. That would be the SIT investigating that. So, no, I'm limited to vampires. And it's not vampires. It's some magician who's using blood for rituals or eternal youth or something. I mean, you know the people. So I'm screwed either way. Skull.
So for the past week, you have been ignoring the obvious instead of coming to see your good friend Johnny Diamond?
What is the obvious? And I've been busy.
You have already told me what I found out, what I had assumed from the very first article.
Which is what?
Blood magic.
See? Even you. Well, I mean, you know these unsavory magician types. I guess you would know.
It was my first thought, was vampires more like blood mage.
Johnny. He looks around. He says, I just had a thought. Would you do me a favor? I know our relationship is not really the kind where we do favors for each other. You bribe me, I look the other way. It's a good relationship.
Occasionally you arrest me.
Oh, it's not personal. And you always get let go. So,
Eventually.
If you know these underworld magician types. I mean, I'm corrupt. I'm not blind. I know they come in here. The fellow with the mustache.
Edwin.
Right. Maybe you could ask around, see if you've heard of any. I don't know. Would they be necromancers? Is that who does the blood thing? I don't care. But maybe get me a lead, just a lead. I think once I have evidence in hand, and who I can take to my superiors, take to the magistrate, I think I can get around this whole stupid vampire thing and get to the root of this. I'd be grateful, enormously grateful. And imagine if I actually did get the promotion to chief inspector. Think of what I could do for you then. Or more to the point, what I could refrain from doing to you then. But really, I'd appreciate the help. This is
Indeed.
They're going to ruin me. They're going to ruin me with this. I can see it now. A month from now, they're going to say there's been no progress, and then clearly you are no detective at all. We will put you back on the street wearing a uniform and a little hat.
Well,
and no one will want to bribe me then. I'll get an apple, maybe a pomegranate on a good day.
Well, I don't suppose it would be possible to get the coroner's report. Looking for things like marks of teeth, needles.
Okay, I have all of these things, but I could not possibly share them with you. In fact, there's really no one you could get this kind of information from. You would have to go there sometime when there's minimal staff, perhaps the middle of the night. Maybe someone you've met before might be on staff there.
Yeah.
Between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Huh.
Yes, yeah.
Perhaps between 2 and 4 in the morning?
I was going to say, Johnny actually goes, like between 2 and 4 in the morning?
Well, since you put it that way, I imagine someone might want to do that, and I couldn't possibly suggest that you do such a thing. But
Oh, no, that would be completely out of the realm of possibility for me to do.
No. But tell you what, he takes in his pocket, he gets a card, and he takes a fountain pen, and he scribbles something on the card and hands it to you. He says, and I couldn't possibly, introduce you or give you any kind of official support on this, but anything you find out, I would really like to learn. I don't want to go back to patrolling in a uniform. I really don't.
I'm not certain that it will be possible. But since you say that work if this is blood mages? It would be another department.
Well, strictly speaking, magical enforcement, cracking down on black market magicians, that's really the job of the society or of the church. It depends on who catches you first.
Right.
So if we did find out it was that, it would be taken away from my department fairly quickly. But the thing is, if I hand them a gift-wrapped case with all of the guilty people already identified, that kind of thing does not go unnoticed.
Why, you might even be able to get a commendation from the SIT personally.
Who knows? Anything's possible.
Or excuse me, pardon me, my French is not a personal commendation from the SIT. I suppose that might.
Frankly, as long as it's not my problem anymore, I'll be happy. Solved, not solved, I don't care. as long as it goes away, and I can go back to pleasant things. Because Khemri Sumer is so nice. We don't really have any serious problems. Some smuggling, maybe. Not a big deal. No real gangsters. Marseille has gangsters. Khemri Sumer, we have reputable businessmen who know who to bribe. So, yeah. He takes out a pocket watch and looks at it. He says, "Oh, I have to go." He finishes his cranberry and vodka. A little too sweet for me. And he says, "You know where I'm going now? You know? It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to a graveyard to look for vampires." Ay. He puts on his head and says,
"Hold on. Just a moment. I think I have something for you." I go back and pull out a walnut.
"A what?"
A walnut.
"A walnut?"
Yes.
Okay.
And I tell him, this is a Carpathian walnut. Collected from the church graveyard in Transylvania.
And?
If there are any vampires, they might recognize it.
It's unkind to mock the downtrodden. But thank you.
It is not you I mock, my friend. It is the vampires.
Vampires. Okay, fine. Au revoir, bonsoir.
Yeah. It's clear that Johnny is having way too much fun with his bosses rather than with him. It's just he's the one that gets to be the end of Johnny's jokes, but it's clear that it's all.
I understand.
It's a nothing personal, but here's yet another vampire joke.
Okay. This is around 11 o'clock on let's say a Thursday night. Doxeladon and God Christ, mentally. Carol, thank you.
Will not be there at 11 o'clock at night. She has
No?
Carol Desjardins.
Oh, she has a
Yes.
job. All right.
She has a job, so...
Is anybody
so,
there, or we just fast
Doc
forward to the next day?
Doc Celadon is getting a phone call if he is not in the...
At this point, you're gonna realize that Doc Celadon's probably doing about half of his business out of your bar already.
Right. So if he's not there, he's getting a phone call.
Yeah, because he'll just walk in at the beginning of the evening with like a briefcase, set it down on the table next to him, and people just come up to him during the course of the night and buy charms from him.
Who are these people who come and sit for 10 minutes at a time at Doc Celadon's table?
Right, and I'll share a glass of wine with them and sell them a charm or an amulet.
I imagine at this point he has a booth, a regular booth.
As long as they order, and it's not like overt.
And they leave a lot better looking for the most part.
Yeah, as long as both the police and the SIT don't mind, and as long as they order something, no problem.
Keep in mind, I've got everybody from like the milieu to the police, coming to visit me all the time anyway. I'm an equal opportunity person.
Bernadette Blanchard has found someone else to buy her potions from.
Okay.
Other than that, yeah, you get the same low-level people coming to you, criminally speaking. And the occasional cop, too.
One other thing, a couple of weeks afterwards, I'll actually check on Eve and find out how he's doing.
He's had his windows replaced. He's feeling much better. He hasn't had a vision of another world in at least a week.
And no midnight cravings for pink gemstones.
Oh, he makes sure no one's listening before he answers you, and he says, no, actually, the first few days, it was very, very difficult. I don't know if you noticed I was standing across the street in an alleyway looking at your house for several nights in a row. I really, really didn't want to break in and steal it from you, so I didn't. But I thought about it. But no. Now much better. I hardly even think about it.
Well, let me put it this way, my friend. The item in question is out of your hands, it's out of my hands, and it's in the hands of somebody that I think really is beyond temptation. So I think it's best burdened.
You don't have it anymore?
I do not, no.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm quite positive. I didn't want to suffer the same ill effects that you'd suffered from.
He breathes a sigh of relief. He's like, I'm glad, because actually I was lying to you. I've been outside your house every night. But but it's not there. So if I were to search your house, I wouldn't find it, right?
No, you would not.
Okay.
You'd probably find a bunch of booby traps and
All right.
cover more ill effects, but hey.
All right. That's a relief, actually. Thank you. But no, I'm doing much better.
Okay, good.
I appreciate it. I'm feeling much better.
Well, if in the future it becomes a problem, let me know, and there may be something I can do to help. Something that does not involve giving you back a pink gem, because, as I said, I don't have it anymore, but...
Okay. I will let you know. Thank you.
All right.
And if you ever need anything, you let me know, too.
Okay.
I'm
sure.
I have a feeling I've dodged the bullet on that, and I wouldn't have done it without your help.
I think we both did, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Good talking to you.
That's just an aside. And then,
Cool.
yeah, I'll probably be at Cafe Azure American at some point.
Your regular booth. People come in, they leave. Oddly enough, from time to time you get a policeman who comes to you for something. Usually, like I don't know, they want like a truth serum or something, and it's not exactly what you can do, but you can something close enough. Most part, people come to you either want luck in gambling, luck in love, or to be better looking and younger. So those are all fairly easy to do for short periods of time.
Yep.
And so that's the bulk of your business. Oddly enough, the SIT, after that big show of this town we're going to crack down on black market magic, et cetera, that the director of the SIT did. Since then, they haven't really come around to Cafe Azure American at all. So,
Okay, good.
oddly enough, made a big show up front, and since then, it left you alone.
So much the better.
Works for me.
Let's see. So the night passes uneventfully. Next day, at the SIT, Carol is at work. Her boss rolls in.
Well, not the next day, because if Doc Celadon was in there, Johnny would have had a few words with him.
Oh, well then have a few words. Go ahead.
Okay.
And then we'll get to Carol.
Okay, at some point in the evening of Doc Celadon doing his things,
Yep.
Johnny Diamond slides into the table as the next customer.
I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you, looks-wise.
Always the sport.
What's up?
Oh, vampires, apparently. Or apparently not.
Haven't heard of any in the oh, you mean like the ones in the newspapers?
Yeah,
The vampire murders?
those, yes.
I haven't looked into it, but I sincerely doubt it's vampires. I don't think there are any vampires in this section of Europe at all. they're in much wilder places like Russia and the Americas, places like that. Crowds with pitchforks and torches tend to put them off.
Yeah, so chase down this little rabbit hole with me, if you will.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
It's not vampires.
Well, was somebody seriously thinking it was vampires?
You would be surprised.
Vampires aren't really renowned for wrapping the bodies up in sheets and moving them out of town in trucks.
That was my thoughts almost precisely. So, know any blood mages?
I don't know, Brandon, do I? I wouldn't think so.
Well, it's not like there's a club you guys go to,
No, it's true.
but
And that's a really weird.
it's a really weird specialty. Yeah,
Or some.
you'd have to ask
some
around.
ritual that would take several bodies worth of blood to pull off.
That's ritual magic there. Or sacrifice. And human sacrifice is the sort of thing that even magicians, like even the low-life types like myself, the church really gets on you about that. They find out that that's happening, and yeah, you've got inquisitions and people getting burned at the stake and all sorts of exceedingly unpleasant things happening to you. And they're fully and completely willing to just ignore all of those laws about, like, humanity and things like that if they start finding out that you're using ritual sacrifice. So I wouldn't even be sure that I'd want to ask anybody that I know if they've been engaged in any kind of blood sacrifice. Besides that, the end results of blood sacrifice are never good. We're talking like serious, hardcore black magic here.
Yeah.
You don't even need that much to raise the dead. I mean, if you want to create zombies, you don't even need that much blood. You certainly don't need to kill anybody for it. And this is the sort of thing that goes, blighting towns and causing all of the firstborn to die and that sort of biblical sounding crap. I try and avoid that sort of thing. I don't know. Have you heard of like an entire town full of people dying off suddenly, or inundations of dead fish, or
No, and that's what worries me.
entire countries suddenly all of the life in it dying out, or anything like that? I mean, if you'd heard of that, then yeah, I could probably point you in the right direction. But
I haven't, and isn't that the worrisome thing?
I mean, isn't there a distinct possibility that there's a slightly more mundane reasoning behind it, just something like an ordinary, average, everyday serial killer or something like that?
With an entire truckload of bodies wrapped in plastic and...
Well, were they all killed at the same time? Just out of curiosity. I haven't looked into it that much myself.
You know what? I was planning a trip to the morgue in a few hours.
Oh, really? Check my watch. Oh, what a coincidence. I'll be more than happy to go with you if you'd like.
Yes, I think so.
It would be better for the game if you guys put it off for a day, so that Carol could go with you.
In that case, something comes up and we put it off for a day.
Anything else?
We show up at the morgue and the wrong guy's on staff. I check the schedule. The right guy's on staff tomorrow. We'll come back.
Roger's not on until tomorrow.
Okay, how's that go, Brandon?
That works just fine.
I will spend the rest of the evening catching up on any details that are available to the public on the vampire murders.
As far as the newspaper's concerned, the police are baffled.
Have they identified the bodies?
They have apparently identified the bodies, but they've not released that information to the public.
All right. Were they all killed at the same time?
That's not mentioned.
How were they exsanguinated?
Also not mentioned.
Right, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we're kind of lacking in a certain amount of details here.
No, they're not going to mention that stuff.
Other than a lurid truckload of dead people with no blood.
Yeah, it's lurid. There are long eyewitness accounts of the bodies being taken from the truck and loaded up and so on and so forth. There's lots of speculation, not a whole lot of facts.
I said it was Pandalarian. I thought that we would be killed or worse.
What does baffled mean? What does incompetent mean? All right. The next day, Carol at work. You come in bright and early at 9. Your boss comes in bright and early at 11. Takes off 11:30 for lunch. So, as just after your boss leaves, you're busy working. You're about ready to go to lunch yourself. Where there's like a shadow, and you look up, and it is your boss. Your boss's boss. Hang on.
Anna?
Anna Petronovich, Deputy Director of the Society Imperiale de Thaumaturgie, SIT.
Mon ami!
Don't be creepy. Please don't be creepy. All right, here we go. Anna Petronovich, Deputy Director Petronovich. You look up, and she's standing there, looking pretty much just like that.
At which point I scream like a little girl.
And she
On the
says,
inside, yes, but I've learned to hide it perfectly. But no, I'm kidding. Madame Petronovich, how may I help you?
You start confessing to all kinds of things that I do.
the Lindbergh baby, it was me, I swear. Anyway, she says, Mademoiselle Desjardins, would you join me in my office for a moment? And she turns around and walks away.
Follow her.
You follow her to her office. She closes the door. She draws the blinds. She sits down at her desk, and she looks at you like expressionless, which is her normal expression, for like 10, 20 seconds. And she says, I need to ask you a favor.
And what would that be, please?
You have unsavory friends.
I say that.
But of course!
Okay, thank you.
It wasn't a compliment.
She's not laughing, I am.
No. Something has arisen which I would like investigated. It's not currently within the jurisdiction of the SIT, and I don't want it to be. So, I was wondering if you might look into it for me. Perhaps tap some of the resources that you have that we do not.
Would it be the thing they were mentioning in the papers, the vampire killings?
That's correct. The vampire murders.
Murders.
I don't know if it was vampires or not.
You would have said correctly,
Right. Well, killings, murders, potato. But she says, I don't know if it's vampires or not. I have no idea what or who is behind it. However, I don't want the current path of investigation to continue. If they continue to look for supernatural creatures as the killers, I suspect it might be inconvenient for me. So, what I would like is for you to avail yourself of your resources and any resources we can help you with. I'll make sure that it's approved with Monsieur St. Paul, your boss.
of course.
And you can tell him that you are looking into a particular matter for me, and he won't press it.
Of course not.
And you'll have all the resources we have to give you.
Well, that will be a new change for me, yes. I will look into it then.
I would be grateful. All right, that's all.
Thank
Let
you.
me know if you need anything.
I will, thank you.
Or, actually, no, don't. Let
I'll
Mr.
use
St.
the-
Paul know if you need anything, and I'll make sure that he knows to give it to you.
Yes. Or I will use the routes of methods of getting what I want, please. if that is easier for you.
You're resourceful. I mean, you are a resourceful young woman.
Thank you.
That's all. You can go.
All right.
Oh, and thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Walk out.
Cool. So what do you do?
Well, we got to do those unsavory characters.
Well, apparently I put on a new assignment. Tell my secretary that I have a new assignment and I will be out of the office for at least for a couple of hours, if not for the rest of the day. I'm working on it.
Yes, ma'am, she says.
And if it's an emergency, tell them to leave a note at was it Cafe Azure?
Cafe Azure American.
Yeah. That's it. I'm sure I've told her this before in the past. So yeah, in case I believe I'll be stopping in there at least once this afternoon.
Yeah, your list of emergency contacts includes a bar.
And she had to get used to this from day one. I break them in early.
Oddly enough, you're not the only person in that office who has that. I mean, a bar is on your
Point
list.
of contact probably includes like 6 bars.
Yes, the odd thing about you is that there's only one bar on your contact list.
And you got a bar as a point of contact? God, I could have my mail at his bar.
Yeah, and when they do, I actually respond. So it's like it actually makes. So for them, it's like, oh, this actually is a point of business for her instead of, oh, she's disappearing for the rest of the day to do stupid.
Okay, so what do, Carol? It's around lunchtime.
Oh, hey, perfect! I'm going to go have lunch at Cafe Americana.
Okay,
I might even be able to get this on the expense.
They're technically open, but during lunch they start set up for the evening. So even though they open like 11:30 for lunch, they still have that kind of like taking chairs down and cleaning the glasses kind of activity going on while they're serving lunch.
Yeah.
More coffee, less wine.
It's going to offend me, considering how often I've been in that place. They're probably like, "Oh, hey, Carol."
Oh yeah, they know you. They know you.
Yeah.
Arlene knows what you order. Make sure once you come in, she makes sure you get what you want.
Or like, "Oh, today we have a fabulous thing. You're gonna love it." Chef insists.
Oysters. Oh,
Oysters.
Arlene, hang on. I've actually got a thing. Hang on, let me find it. Here we go. Arlene Belfleur. Which she's
as much as I miss Carl, Arlene is so much more efficient than Carl.
And honestly, kind of my fault.
Okay, I have to admit, the reason I miss Carl is I know the story behind the face. The actor whose picture you used for Carl, his wife, whenever he worked on a set, his wife would show up at lunchtime with lunch for 2, and the 2 of them would sit down and eat lunch, and occasionally she'd show up with lunch for 5 and invite the stars to eat with them.
Oh, that's sweet.
They're like old school, like Pest side of the river Budapestians, or Buda side of the river, old side of the river Budapest family.
Cool.
And so his wife would show up on set with his lunch every day, and would sometimes invite the other people to eat all of this Hungarian peasant food that she cooked.
Aww.
And that's why I miss Carl personally, but Arlene is so much more efficient.
And honestly, she's got so much more character in her what she does. So I guess you did.
Yeah.
So she brings you. Oh, we have fresh oysters and mussels from La Rochelle. Do you like oysters? You into oysters? Seafood?
Sure,
Mussels?
I like seafood.
These
Louisiana grilled oysters.
so
I like
you have
mussels.
fresh, like fresh oysters and mussels from La Rochelle. So she brings you a plate of those. Anyway, so Carol, what do you do?
Um, when I sit down, I also tell her, oh, and if you see Johnny Dollar, let him know I'm up here and I have business with him.
I'll let him know. So she goes and Arlene knocks on the door and tells Johnny, "Oh, Carol Desjardins is eating lunch. She wanted to talk to you. I'd give her about 5-10 minutes to finish the oysters."
I look at the paperwork on my desk. That should be perfect. Thank you.
I'll let her know. Arlene comes back out to Carol, asks if you need anything, and says Johnny will be out with you shortly.
Merci, no thank you. Everything's perfect, as usual.
Bon appetit! All right. Then talk, Johnny.
Yeah. Okay. So Johnny rolls on up, slides into Carol's booth or table, Carol.
Oh, booth, because they're usually a little more private. Tables are usually out in the open. People can hear you a little easier.
Okay, slides into Carol's booth.
Oh, these oyster things oysters are rather good.
Oh, thank you. We just got a fresh shipment in. You know I'm always looking for the freshest foods.
And I've noticed a change since she knows her name. I'm sorry,
Arlene.
Arlene has started in taking over with the purchasing.
Isn't she amazing?
Indeed, you've got quite a treasure in her.
Out of nowhere.
Quite.
I know I told you the story.
Yes.
But we have business.
But we have business, and it gets to be pseudo-official this time.
Oh, really?
As in, I was told by a certain someone to look into the vampire murders. We don't want it to become our SIT business, but we need to have it dealt with.
News does travel fast.
Well, you know, the newspaper.
Well, the actual vampire murder investigation is about a week old at this point. The accident where the delivery truck got hit and the police found all the bodies in the back, that was about a week ago.
Yeah, it's been in the papers for a couple of days at least.
No, that's not quite what I meant.
Oh, let me guess. You're looking in on it as well.
A certain police detective has been told to investigate actual vampires.
I feel so sorry for him.
Yes, especially with grave consequences should he fail.
Oh, indeed. Well, unfortunately, we don't want to take it off his hand, but we definitely agree it needs to be taken to at least be solved, or at least be put on a different track. Apparently, they're looking solely at supernaturals rather than just magic in general. Probably how it's not in SIT's hand.
Carol, are you telling me that SIT doesn't want the collar for this one?
I probably, if it was handed to them with a bow on top. Yes. Otherwise, no, they don't want it. At least a certain assistant, a director does not.
Fantastic. Shall we get to tying the bow?
Absolutely.
Say between 2 and 4 in the morning at a certain coroner's desk?
Oh, I guess I need to go with you because he does seem to think I'm cute or something like that.
No. Just because a man has good taste is no reason to disparage him.
I'll have to see if I get a budget for this. I've been given permissions. I should get a budget as well. It shouldn't be coming out of your or my pocket completely.
Or the inspectors.
Or the inspectors. Okay, one or the other. The inspector or SID should be paying for this. I agree.
All right then. What can you tell me before then?
I've already told it to you, unfortunately. But
Ooh,
whatever.
you have nothing more than the newspapers have reported?
No, I literally I literally had was summoned to a particular assistant director's office by herself, of course, as usual, which is how she normally does it. And she simply told me to look into it, and that I was to be given backing by the SIT unofficially, and that was it. I guess she expects me to figure it all out on my own, as usual. She's already figured out I do this.
Well, in that case, the next time you talk to her, do give her my love, would you?
No.
Oh, but it annoys her so.
Yes, I know.
Especially when I get the French wrong and call her something unfortunate.
All the more reason why you should do it, sir, not I. I do not have this excuse of getting my French wrong.
Oh, very well. Just know that she means nothing to me, darling.
Sure. I didn't care about that. I simply am saying I don't want to tell my boss's boss.
He uses the familiar variant of darling.
And I raised my eyebrows like, I also don't want to tell my boss's boss that I'm anything of the sort. Thank you. The fact that she's put me on this assignment is a big deal in my office. Indeed, no one else knows about it. I just think that my boss is simply being told I'm doing something for her.
Oh well, then we shouldn't disappoint.
Absolutely. Well, I probably would have ended up involved in this anyways if you were about to look into it.
So you have a budget for this one?
We should find out tomorrow, or if I head back. Actually, I'm not needed until this ungodly hour this morning. I should head back into the office and make myself somewhat useful for a few more hours and see what kind of budget I get.
Oh, I do hope it's a good one. We've just gotten a brand new stock of Beaujolais in.
Well then.
And you know how expenses are.
Okay. Meanwhile, over it. Go ahead.
As long as the government is on the take, so is Johnny from the government.
If she knows what she's allowed to get away with, she will get away with it. If she, in terms of adding reports, but beyond that, she's pretty stickler because she doesn't want to
Well, no, that's the thing. If you pay for a consultant,
yeah,
and it just happens to be half a case of really good wine,
yes,
then Johnny can put half a case of really good wine on his books while you put a consultant on yours.
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly. I just got to find out what my budget is for consultants. Because normally I don't have one. That part's new.
Okay.
Okay.
So we break up to find out how we can abscond with the government's money.
Fair enough. Carol goes back to the office, and her boss is there. And when you come there, he runs out of his office to greet you, and he says, "Mr. Desjardins, please come in my office." And he goes into his office.
All right.
And he turns around like twice on the way in the 15 feet it takes to get there. He turns around twice to make sure you're following him.
Mademoiselle, not monsieur.
Mademoiselle? Okay.
Sorry.
Whatever.
Closely, yes, but not too closely.
And he's nearly out of panic. He's like, the deputy director called me into her office and said she wants our office to investigate a serious matter, and that she wants you to take the lead on the investigation.
Yes, she's already informed me, and that's where I was.
Oh, thank
And
goodness. Oh, okay, so you're on top of this then.
absolutely.
Great. I've been told to give you whatever resources you need. So what resources do you need? Do you need a
I'm-
car? I'll loan you my car. Or technically it's the SIT's car. But it's my car.
I may need a car, but I will need a. I might end up with some consultant fees. I happen to know a few people who might need. I might be able to use as consultants on this case.
Do you need cash or
I can put it in as a regular expense on through the system as usual.
that'll be fine. He opens up a drawer and he takes out like a couple of envelopes and he like takes some money out of envelopes and he just hands you the whole envelope. Here you go, take that. That should do for now. He puts if you need. He takes out another envelope and hands it to you. That should be fine, right?
That'll be fine.
So-
I will have
okay.
receipts for you on all of this, of course.
He takes out a handkerchief and like blots his forehead. He's like, "Oh my God, mon Dieu, mon Dieu. Oh, well, as long as you're on top of this, I know it'll be handled.
Yes.
But what am I supposed to do while you're taking care of this?"
The usual, sir. I will be in every day and in the morning to make sure things are being kept here, and my secretary will know at where I am and where I am to be contacted at all times, as usual, sir.
Well, I should certainly hope so. Yes, indeed. What does a heart attack feel like? Is that?
But that is an anxiety attack, sir. Do I need
You
to
know,
check your
I think-
again?
I think this has been entirely too much for my heart. I think I need to go home. Thank you, Carol. Thank you.
Oh,
You have
no. Stop by the Cafe Azure American. They have a fantastic Beaujolais just here.
You take care of everything. If you need anything, just sign my name.
Of course.
And he leaves.
All right. There we go. Problem solved. Flomp, flomp. All right. Okay. Take care of, and close out anything that needs to be done, and because I know I have the rest of the afternoon, honestly, before I can do anything. But I probably will want to take a nap before we get up and go out at 2 a.m. So but close out anything that needs to be taken care of in the office, and so that I don't have to worry about that tomorrow. And and then leave early.
Okay.
It just occurred to me we don't actually need to like pussyfoot around and bribe this guy if we've got SIT.
Oh, I've got my badge, honey.
But-
We're going in at 2 a.m. and being this is an SIT issue.
Right, but we're not working with SIT because SIT wants to stay out of it, so we still
Don't
have
say
to.
it. He was told to keep it on the down low anyway, so you don't want to be.
Yeah.
We're still keeping this on the down low. We're still playing these games, but that's why I was asking for a budget so we can bribe him like usual,
Oh, okay.
without it costing either of us the bribe.
You've got a couple of envelopes. Each of them has a couple of 100 francs in it,
Perfect.
which is a
Oh.
good amount of money.
Oh, I know. I know, but I'll be asking Johnny for a proper consultation receipt so that I can submit my proper paperwork. I'll show him how to write it up if I haven't
Okay.
done that in the past. But just like consultation,
Makes sense. Okay.
But that way, and then hand him the money. It's like, here's bribe after the fact. It's like, okay, just tell him, we'll just hand you the money, and you handle the bribing. after I finish my work, head back to into the cafe.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice. No, I just wanted to say that. Meanwhile, at Doc
You know, I
Celadon's.
went there a few years ago.
The Hall of Justice.
Yes, I have photos, complete with Wonder Woman's invisible jet parked out front.
So that's what an invisible jet looks like.
No, seriously, it's the Amtrak station and also the History Museum in Cincinnati.
What, really?
It's the Hall of Justice. Yeah. Hold on.
I have to figure out what kind of vacation I get this year. We got to figure out what we're going to be doing.
Oh, if we go to Cincy, we're hooking up with Julie. We're hooking up with Emily. We're going to Cincinnati. It's serious. It's hard lines and fluted edges style Art Deco all over town in Cincinnati.
Oh, we have to decide if we want to go to some of the places you've already been to, or if you want to go someplace new and we do the places you've been to that are new to me. Next year, I have to find out how my vacation actually even works.
Yeah, figure out how your vacation works, because I've got so many places I can go back to without a problem.
And yet,
There are some places you can't go back to.
I was going to say, I've got so many places that I can't go back to.
Well, there are a few, but
Well, technically, I could go back there, but it would be a problem at that time.
Okay.
no, I'm thinking of this crab shack on St. George's Island, which, okay, my dad is like the least criminal person you've ever conceived of in your head. Eagle Scout to the extreme. He has never broken the speed limit because it never occurred to him to do so. Kind of thing. He has never had a traffic or parking ticket in his life. The one time one of his cars got stopped for not having a valid inspection sticker, I was driving. That kind of never had a traffic ticket in his life.
My car.
Okay. He and my godfather got kicked out of a crab shack on St. George's Island for unruly behavior. My mom bought T-shirts from the place. Just so that my brother and I could wear T-shirts from the only place in the country that would kick my dad out.
Right. Meanwhile, it's a fun story. Meanwhile,
It's my life.
at Doc Celadon's, it's around 2 in the afternoon. I'm thinking you're up, probably still in your bathrobe or smoking jacket or whatever black market magician about town wears in the early afternoon.
Bathroom.
And there's a tentative, it is palpably tentative knock at your door. You almost don't hear it.
The kind of knock where somebody is knocking at your door, but they don't want you to hear it. Yeah, they don't want you to answer it.
Something like that.
Or it's not that they don't want to; they're kind of hoping you don't. Yeah,
Something
I'll
like
go
that.
answer it.
Okay.
I
There
get
is a
that.
young woman at your door, not for the first time. She looks like this. And she says, "Are you Dr. Celadon?"
Yes, I am.
A friend that I work with named Claudette said that you would be the person to talk to. May I come in?
Do a quick sense aura on her to make sure that she's not like, a vampire or anything like that.
Do Sensora, sure, why not? Make some rolls. I'll roll against you. Hang on.
All right.
Where's my rolly dicey things? I changed a bunch of stuff. Ooh, 8 flammable liquids lying around your house. Why do I have this tab open? I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out what it's got to do with sense auras.
No, it's the tab next to the tab I was looking for. Okay, so we do this, and we're going to add a 6 to it. 16! You got to roll a 16. What you got?
Oh, I did not roll a 16.
Oh, she's neutral, which is what you get when you look at most people's auras.
Okay. Certainly, come on in.
She comes in. She looks around the place. What does your entryway look like? What kind of stuff's here?
It started out as neutral as possible in that it was more like a waiting room or like the living room area of a hotel. But unfortunately, it's been more than 6 months, so it kind of got my imprint stamped on it at this point. So it's kind of shabby, and there are like occasionally odd things in corners and like strange conversational pieces sitting on the coffee table and stuff like that.
Okay. She's looking around. Are you a vain person? Do you have like pictures of yourself or mirrors in obvious places or diplomas of exotic universities you've been to or things like that?
Not in this area now.
Okay.
There would be a mirror there just because a lot of the people that I'm selling stuff to are vain about their looks. And very nice.
Oh, son of a gun. You weren't kidding. That is a Hall of Justice.
Yeah. You can see the invisible jet parked right behind the
Damn.
ceiling.
Wow.
In the bathroom, you see Aquaman making a sandwich.
I'm flabbergasted. I did not know that there was a real place that looked like that. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
all right then.
Friend Julie.
Okay.
So
In which case,
there would be a large mirror. In
yeah,
the room.
I heard. Okay, make a reason roll plus 2d6.
Okay.
Just straight reason.
14 at this time.
All right, that's fine. Anyway, so she comes in, and you close
By
the
the
door.
way, I also time traveled back to 1944.
Good to know. So she's like looks around. You close the door, and she's like, now that she's inside, she's looking at you with an uncertain expression, like she's not sure what to think of you.
Mm-hmm. So, to what do I owe the honor? And would you care for some tea?
No, thank you. I have a problem.
A number of people who come to me do.
Well, I'm afraid I've misled you.
Okay.
I'm not a prostitute. I'm a school teacher.
I didn't think you were a prostitute, to be perfectly honest. And if you were, you certainly wouldn't be coming to me.
Wait, I thought that's what you did.
Yes, but the prostitutes who come to see me need help with their looks. And if you were to turn around and take a look in the mirror, you can see, obviously, that you don't need any help with your looks.
Well, at that point, it becomes obvious that where she's standing, you can't see her in the mirror.
Oh, bloody hell.
No, wait. Let me rephrase that. The position where she is standing, the mirror does not show where a person who is standing there from where you are standing.
From where I am standing.
It's not like she's magically has no reflection. That's not what I mean. She's standing where she's standing.
I honestly thought she was a vampire for a second.
Well, funny you should say that.
I'm about to find out she is a vampire, but...
She says, also, and the lighting in the room changes just a little bit. Steal my thunder, man.
Sorry.
Okay, so she looks like this, right? Okay, and then the lighting in the room changes, and for a moment, she looks like this.
Okay, and I hate to say it, but again, my first thought is not vampire. My first thought is fairy. So.
Well, whatever. She says, I'm...
But at this point, she can probably hear my metal shield go up with an audible clang.
Clang! She goes, well, she says, I'm a school teacher. And then she says, and then light, and she says, don't freak out. And then the light changes, and she looks like that. And then the light changes back, and then she looks like how she first looked, and she says, "I'm a vampire." Like she says, it like a question, like she's. It's not that she doesn't know; it's that she's not sure you'll believe her.
I'll look nonplussed for a second. Really? Like, kind of lean forward, look at her a little more closely. Was it an affliction? Was it something that was given to you, or were you born that way?
Oh no, I was born mortal, just like you. And then I was killed, and my blood was sucked out, and then I woke up and I was a vampire.
Really? So the folktales are actually correct in that respect.
Some are, some aren't. I mean, she points at your door and she says, "Daylight stings, but we don't turn to dust."
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Also, I don't really look like this. I don't really look like what I just look like either. She like braces herself and she steps in front of the mirror and she looks like this.
Good Lord, woman.
It's just keeps coming. Here we go. She looks like that in the mirror. Not to you, but in the mirror.
Okay.
And she says, "We don't like mirrors."
I can understand why. At this point, my eyes are...
So, I've come to you because, on behalf of, I won't say all vampires in Camaret-Samere, but let's say most of them. We have a problem. You've heard of these vampire murders, right?
Oh, yes.
We didn't do that. Vampires did not do that. We don't kill people. Well, we try not to kill people.
Sherry, you would have to be some extremely stupid vampires to have pulled off those series of murders in such a manner.
Yes, that I can agree to absolutely.
All right.
The problem is, the mundane authorities, she doesn't say mundane, she says mortal. The mortal authorities seem really convinced that we did it. And if they keep looking, they're going to find us.
Yes.
That's bad for us, obviously. But you're thinking, why do you care? The thing is, when mortal authorities look for vampires, they don't just find vampires. The last time there was a major purge of vampires in the Empire, lots and lots of perfectly innocent mortal people were killed.
I know. I realize that, yes. It's hard to control a mob once it becomes a mob. And once the pitchforks and the torches start coming out and the Inquisition starts starting, yeah, it tends to gain its own sort of life of its own. And usually has to be stamped out rather than petering to a stop.
We'd really like your help finding who really is at the bottom of this.
Okay, I can understand that.
Not so much because we actually care, but because we don't want the hunt to lead to us. I've been given permission to tell you anything you need to know.
Okay.
That we know.
Let me start with a few questions then. What do you know of the murders?
Nothing.
Not a thing. Okay.
Only what you've read in the paper. We've read the same newspapers.
Okay. How large a contingent of vampires are in Camaret-Samere? I don't want exact numbers, but I'm just curious.
Dozens.
Okay.
I cannot tell you exactly who, or who they are, or where we sleep, or anything like that. But anything else that you need to know, I will tell you.
Okay.
For example, the daylight thing. I'm allowed to tell you that. Permission to come in. I needed that. If you had said no, I couldn't have come on. Or I could have, but I would look like, and she points to the mirror, I would look like that.
I see. The one question I'm really curious about, you don't have to answer this or not, because it really has no bearing on the sketch whatsoever. What's the thing with the counting? Is that a real problem that vampires encounter?
I've heard that too. I think it's Chinese.
It's actually Eastern European too. Apparently, if you were to throw a handful of grain in front of a vampire, they were supposed to be forced to count it all, like
I
a
don't know.
compulsion. Okay, well, it's not a real thing, is it?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay, good. That one just struck me as amusing of all of the vampire myths I've heard about. I'll ask her a bunch of questions, but most of them are going to be questions just to satisfy my own curiosity about vampires.
She basically anything that doesn't specifically identify other vampires other than her.
Right.
She seems to be forthcoming.
Okay, but
Like garlic is distasteful, but it doesn't actually hurt her or keep her away. I mean, she could eat a
right,
plate of spaghetti with garlic. She'd wind up vomiting it up later.
right.
But
And do they actually eat food in addition to draining blood? Keep in mind that this is the scientist in me just curious.
it's doesn't need to, can, but again, we'll vomit it up later.
Right.
What they actually eat is blood.
Oh, okay.
And she seems a little bit embarrassed by the idea that once in a while they actually do kill somebody. It's
Right.
generally not on purpose, but you get worked up and you get carried away.
And then suddenly you're down an entire box of Oreo cookies. Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. At no point do I actually seem frightened or disgusted by her. Like I said, more than anything else, the general impression she's going to get is that I am extremely curious about her and her people.
Yeah. At some point, since you haven't brought it up, she asks, "What will you expect in payment? We can pay."
All right. Well, how about my standard rates as a bodyguard then? And I'll quote her whatever the rates that I would normally use if I'm actually using the persona as a bodyguard.
Like 5 francs a day.
Yeah, it's whatever what a standard like normal rate of pay for like a middle class person would be if they were like a gas station attendant or an auto mechanic or something. So yeah, it's whatever somebody who makes like 40-50 grand a year would make.
Let's see. I had this here somewhere. I had it noted. Oh, the minimum wage is around 2 francs a day.
Okay.
So that's minimum wage. So she'll say 10 francs a day for a bodyguard. Does that sound
Yeah.
reasonable?
Okay, so 3 new star windows.
Yeah, she says that's more than reasonable. Are you sure? That's not very much. Even a school teacher makes more than that.
Food, certain things, but some of the other stuff.
But
No, that should be sufficient for the moment. If there are other expenses that come up, then I'll be certain to let you know, and I'll just add them to your bill.
so when I started
And-
reading, I just packed up.
Just because I think this needs to be said, it's very, very important that no one knows that we've hired you.
I'm very impressed.
Okay, I can understand that.
So please be discreet.
Oh, very much so.
It would be bad for everyone if people knew they were Khemri Samirs vampire and Khemri Samir.
You're right, Samara, right? No,
Yeah.
no, I do understand. Yes.
All right.
How do I get a hold of you?
Calling me at the university would not be the best. She takes a pen and do you have a piece of paper? And you do. And she writes down like her home address, and she says you can contact me there after 4 in the afternoon.
Do you know the Cafe Azure American?
Oh yes.
I normally spend quite a bit of time there, so if you need to contact me, you can probably find me there if I'm not here.
Okay. Should we learn anything you might find useful, that's where we'll contact you.
Very, very good. Yes.
All right. Thank you for being so reasonable. I volunteered for this, but I wasn't sure how it would go.
There are worse things in the world, in my opinion, and
I agree.
anyone trying to just get by doesn't need any additional grief added to their life. So I'm more than happy to work with you. I'm just interested in meeting yet another facet of the various lives of various people who live here.
Thank you. Well, you have a good day, monsieur.
And you.
And she sees herself out. So that's fun.
Read up on everything I can about vampires.
Do you mind if we take a break, please?
Oh, sure. Need a break?
Yes,
5
please.
minutes?
Okay.
All right, pausing for 5 minutes. Okay, and we're back. Doc Celadon. Okay, she's leaving. As after she leaves, what would be your skill most appropriate to figuring out behavior? Let's see.
Investigation?
Bum, 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 bum. That's more like analyzing clues. So,
I don't think we have analyzing clues on this system.
well, no, that's what investigation is. So,
Diplomacy or deception?
I think diplomacy. I think it'd be diplomacy. So make a
Either
diplomacy.
that or deception in an inverse sort of way.
Game Master said diplomacy.
I think diplomacy.
Okay.
16. Rolled really well.
Oh, that's plenty. She didn't come right out and say it, but it's possible that she's not really aware of it. You're not sure. But something that is implicit in the way she answered your questions and the stuff she said, and this goes with the being invited in thing. You think that, you don't know if this is general for all vampires, but you're pretty certain it applies to her. Oh, her name was Dominique Laffin, by the way. She introduced herself. I forgot to introduce her. Her name's Dominique.
Okay.
She wrote her name down on the piece of paper she gave you with her address. But being fastidious about what she does and doesn't do, and what she says and doesn't say, and keeping her promises, you get the feeling that it's like she may not even be aware of it, but it's like if she makes a promise, she'll keep that promise.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Like it kind of borders on mania for her.
Kinda.
But I did get that impression. Yes.
Okay. And when you were talking about, like, I assume you asked her a bunch of questions about vampires, like,
Yes.
crossing running water and all that kind of stuff, and she gave you her answers as far as she could, as far as that
Whether
stuff
they're
goes.
broken up into clans or families or how their society is put together.
Yeah, it's not like they have meetings.
Right.
She'll say that. She's like, it's not like we have meetings. I mean, well, we do, but it's not like holding court exactly. It's more like a book club where you talk about books you've read or books you want to read. Except instead of books, it's people and it's food. So there's some awkward moments.
Okay.
Because they very clearly do prey upon people and drink their blood.
Right.
But for the most part, they try really hard not to kill them. So. Anyway, but fastidious. So, anything she told you is, as far as she's concerned, the literal truth. And anything she promised you, if she said she would do something, you get like the feeling that it would be more than it's like she'd be compelled to do it almost.
Right.
So anyway, which may tie into the whole counting things. Like maybe somebody told a story to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else, and it became counting. So
Right.
It's kind of in the ballpark. Anyway, just thought you'd find that interesting. Alrighty, so it's like 2 PM. What's everybody doing?
I'm studying up on vampires.
Most of it's horseshit.
Yeah.
Some of
And
it's not.
Basically, I'm just looking for like information on known information about vampires, like historically when the last vampire outbreak was, what the general response was, where they geographically where they are known to congregate, stuff like that.
Well, as far as anybody official knows, the last vampires in the Empire, the Franco-Prussian Empire, were in Romania in the 1920s.
Right.
It was a theater troupe at a theater. They put on performances and stuff. And for some reason, someone caught one of the actors in the middle of sucking somebody else's blood. And they told the church, and the church brought out an inquisition, and before you know it, there's like 150 people burned at the stake, including old vampires, and possibly some people who weren't vampires. But as far as the church is concerned, their souls were damned anyway, so it's all good. The last incident like that in France was almost 300 years ago in a very similar situation, although at the time it had to do something with war and preying upon injured people on a battleground, something like that. I mean, it's very old history at this point, and involved a whole bunch of burning at the stake.
Okay. So yeah, the imperial response to vampirism is to basically burn them all and worry about it, and worry about whether they were innocent or guilty later.
Yeah. You know, pray over the souls of anybody who may have been caught in the crossfire, and it's all good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Inquisition is not something to be messed with.
No, not at all. Okay.
So you spend your afternoon doing that. Go to a library, or unless you've got the books for this on hand.
Eventually, I will have to go to the library. Yes.
Okay, you spend the afternoon and early evening at the library looking up books on history of vampires and other damned creatures. So.
And then I'll go to the Cafe Azure America because I want to get dinner and some drinks before we go break into a morgue.
Okay.
We have no intention of breaking into a morgue. We are going to be given
Please allow me my illusions.
We are going to be given the information willingly in exchange for small amounts of money and a little bit of flirting on Carol's part. But yeah, we're gonna go break into a morgue and see what they got. Because dead bodies, yay.
Yeah, when I get together with Johnny, the thrust of what we're trying to accomplish here is that we want to provide information to the good inspector that would lead his course of inquiry away from vampirism and onto something, say, more mundane.
Depends on what we find when we inspect the bodies.
Okay. I'm still thinking that it'd have to be pretty dumb vampires.
Yes, and stupid vampires would not be currently existing.
Yeah, they'd be really short-lived, you'd figure.
So, stepping aside, I'm going to agree. But what we really want to find out is what's going on here so that we can keep other citizens of Camaret-Sumer from being exsanguinated.
Fair enough.
Honestly, I'm not really concerned about who, or how it is being done. I'm concerned that citizens of Camaret-Sumer are being exsanguinated without their will.
How civic-minded of you.
All Camaret-Sumer are my. This is where I live. These are my people. I must take care of them.
I see. Okay. All right, so I'll hang out there until we go break into a morgue.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to contribute to that, Carol, until it's 2 a.m?
I presume she'll probably work for a couple of hours, just not too long, to just get her ducks in a row so that she can leave without things falling apart. And then head back over to the Cafe American, and hang out there for the rest, in case, especially since she probably wants to get talk to Doc Sullivan and all that stuff beforehand. And heck, hey, I can get off of work early and plan things out.
And get a meal on the expense account.
Sure, why not?
Wait, excuse me. I'm sorry, I forgot myself. Get another meal on the expense account.
I have consultations. Does that include food?
Every little penny counts when you run a business.
All right, so I will show probably
Per
mid-afternoon.
diem. She gets per diem.
Per diem. That's right. I get per diem.
No, she gets per diem plus.
Of course.
Okay, so
Per diem
Anyways,
plus consultation charges.
per diem plus expenses, exactly. Anyways, anyway, so I will show probably mid-afternoon after having cleared my desk of anything that will need me for the rest of the day. Definitely. So Doc Sullivan will already be at the.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yes.
Good doctor. How are you?
I've been spent an extremely exciting afternoon doing research, which,
Oh,
believe me, is something that I don't get to do all the time. So I was quite pleased.
fantastic.
And I'm very much looking forward to breaking new award tonight.
So you'll be joining us when we go talk to the when we go to the award.
Yes.
What was that guy's name? I don't think he.
Gosh. Hmm.
Did he ever actually get a name?
What guy are you talking about?
The guy at the morgue. Yeah, he
Oh,
had a name.
Yeah,
Dr. Martin.
Yeah.
Martin.
Dr. Martin.
Yeah.
Martin's his last name. You don't know his first name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trying to remember if he had even gotten a name or if he was just.
Well, I've given him one now. It's Dr. Martin.
Okay.
Harold, what's
No,
your
wait, Can
involvement?
it be Dr. Don Martin? Because that dude was a friend of mine and he was really cool.
I'll look into it.
Anyway,
Dr. Don Martin got his doctorate in English by writing a satiric history of the life of the satirist John W. Booth.
Okay. I don't know who that is. So we're going to move on.
Okay, it's
What are you doing?
It's quite an.
I'll take your word for it, but let's
literary
keep rolling.
person.
sorry. What did you say? I didn't hear you.
I was just curious as to why you were coming along for the breaking and entering into the board.
Oh, I happen to be officially on assignment looking into the vampire murders.
With your office?
Yes.
Why is your boss looking into the vampire?
Oh, not my boss. My boss's boss, the assistant director, had insisted that I look into it.
Really? Interesting.
Yes, indeed.
Why would the SIT be interested?
We're not. We
Oh.
don't want it. It's a hot potato. Hell, it's a hot brick. We
You're
don't
being asked to
want-
look into it unofficially because the SIT doesn't want to have anything to do with it?
Oh yes. Well, the assistant director of the SIT doesn't want anything to do with it. So therefore, I'm officially means I get a budget this time for a change when I play these games.
Congratulations. And you get to run your own projects, too.
Yes. So.
Make sure-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said make sure you keep your receipts.
Oh, absolutely. I've been given carte blanche by my actual boss.
Oh, okay.
He's
Well,
happy I'm taking
Of
care of it.
course, his boss earmarked you for this, so I'm sure he's going to try and sponge off it whatever way possible.
Actually, it's more like, oh, God, you're taking care of it. Thank goodness. But you didn't hear me say that.
That also makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So he was in a bit of a panic when I came back from coming in here earlier for lunch to discuss this with Johnny. But yeah, and when I came in, he by that point he had already been told and was in a panic because I wasn't in there to tell him not to panic.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes. But yeah, I actually have a budget this time for a change instead of it coming out of my own pocket.
Okay, good.
Yes. Whenever we get a hold of Johnny, we'll just hang out until it's time to leave, I guess. But
Yes.
Okay, we can say that the evening passes uneventfully. Leslie's band, which I'm going to say is called Child Roland,
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
because it just makes me smile.
you should tell her that name.
Leslie's band, Child
You
Roland.
know, it makes me smile in like a very Merovingian way.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Roland was the last of the Merovingian heroes.
Is that right?
If you follow the spiritual end of modern historical mysticism, the Merovingian line was the last line of mythic kings. Supposedly started by the offspring of Jesus and Mary when they landed in France, and that was the whole reason for the Avignon popes. And I assume since we're running German French king empire here, that we're going back to the whole Napoleonic view of how France was the direct line descendant back to Jesus through the Merovingians. Roland was a Merovingian.
Okay.
Charlemagne was the last of the Merovingians.
Interesting. Alrighty. For what it's worth, Napoleon married into the Habsburgs, which is how the Franco-Prussian Empire got started. Oh, and he also didn't lose.
Right, but he also believed that France was blessed because of the Merovingian line, except he couldn't say it because of the illegalite.
It's kind of weird because he was Corsican himself. But...
Right. But you see, the Corsicans go back through the Greeks, which leads back to the same mythic royal lines as not only the Merovingians, but also the Romanians.
You know, Donald, it's actually kind of refreshing to find somebody in a group that's more pedantic than I am.
Okay. If we can move forward,
Yes.
that would be nice.
Focus.
Please.
So, concentrating on the game at hand.
Yeah, something like that. All right, hang on. I got an NPC I'm getting a picture of. I think that'll
Yeah,
work.
no, it totally makes sense to me that in a magical world, France would have become the dominant force because of the Merovingian line of. I know the French Revolution supposedly stopped all of that. Well, it supposedly stopped all of it back with Charlemagne, but yeah.
Yeah, Randall Garrett series, the dominant political and royal lines was actually the Plantagenets. He had it going back to Richard the Lionhearted not being killed and actually establishing a dynasty. You know,
That's interesting.
a fairly large dynasty. And I mention it because Randall Garrett's series is almost exactly like this, only it's Anglo-French centric rather than Franco-Prussian centric.
Oh, well, there you go.
But it doesn't. The main character is a investigator for the crown, and his sidekick is actually a practicing government magician.
I actually think I've read some of those.
Lord Darcy series.
Yes, I've read some of those. It's been ages.
Yeah,
But,
that's
they were very they were like procedural in the way they described like this fabric. You know, we can find the coat this fabric came from using the laws of this, the laws of that. Yeah. So
right.
kind of.
But it was like, you know, CSI.
CSI Camelot.
So it was, yeah, and so it wasn't really so much procedural as it was dramatic with procedural overtones.
Potato. All right, so
But yeah,
2 o'clock in the morning comes, or close to that.
That's the thing, is the Merovingians were the mythic kings, and so everything was mythic with logical overtones.
Okay.
And so this
Wee hours of the morning.
works well as a Merovingian
Let's
system.
let's move forward.
Okay.
So, yeah. So wee hours of the morning. It's right. You're ready to go to the morgue, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What did you want this guy's first name to be, Donald? What Martin?
Oh, I was going to have it be Don Martin, just because a good friend of mine, Jamie Martin, her dad is Don Martin, who got a doctorate in satire.
Right.
And anyone who can get a doctorate in satire is good in my book. By the way, he retired writing standardized tests.
Okay. Yeah. We'll call it. His name will be Donald Martin.
I blame him.
Okay, yeah. Blame Don Martin. He lives in Havre de Grace, Maryland. We can visit him if we want.
Okay. You go to the Camry-sur-Mer morgue. Or actually, it's a medical examiner's office is what it actually is. And it's, what, 2 in the morning, give or take?
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Whenever the guards go on lunch break.
Well, that was only for that particular high-profile thing, and the bodies were so freaking weird. That's why they had guards. Normally, they don't have guards in the middle of the night.
Oh,
And normally they don't have guards at the medical examiner's office at all.
got it.
It's just there's a whole lot less traffic at 2 in the morning, and there's just one guy works
And that particular medical examiner is extremely amenable to bribery.
this guy.
Especially my Q-tip.
That's not the picture of the guy I used last time, but I've decided this is what he looks like.
Okay.
If you
Dr.
feel
Martin.
like- If you feel that you must.
I feel I must. It makes me smile. So
Okay.
you go in and there's nobody there. The lights are on. It's extremely empty, a little scary. You walk down a hallway into a room. There's this guy sitting at a desk, and he's playing solitaire. And he looks up as you walk in.
Ah, good evening, Doctor.
Good evening. Carol, right?
Step aside.
So,
Oh, Mamselle. Thank you for coming back to my humble work environment. Wait, why are you here?
oh, we couldn't keep away. We heard about the vampire murders. And
Oh, that's right. You were the trio who were interested in those bodies. Yeah.
yes,
You know, I never did find out what happened to
By the
them.
way, Black 9 on Red 10.
He looks at you, looks over at his cards, and he goes, "Oh, thank you." He puts the card over there. He goes, "Oh, very good, very good. All right. So I suppose you want to see the bodies, hmm?"
yes, please.
Okay, that'll be 5 francs each. And again, please don't leave any marks, don't take any souvenirs, and don't have sex with the bodies.
You.
Pull out the necessary funds. This one's
Thank you.
on me this time, sir.
Oh, thank you, madame, mademoiselle. Oh, I also have, since you've been here before, and I get the feeling you may be the kind of people who will come here again, I have oh shit, what do you call it? The thing where like everybody picks a day, and the day it shows up is the person who wins. What's that called?
Lottery?
No.
Raffle?
Raffle. Damn it. It's something like that.
Raffle, lottery, rota, depending on what kind of angle you want to take on it.
Crap. Okay, well, I'm just going to... He says the word, even though I cannot remember it off the top of my head. He goes, I've got a... And he has a chart. He gets on a desk. It's under the blotter. I've got a chart. Pick what day the most dead people will show up. And the winner wins 2/3 of the pot. It costs...
Oh, cool.
It costs 1 franc to join. You pick a day and put your name.
Oh, sure, why not? All right.
You set up a dead pool.
Yes,
Yeah, a pool. That's what it's called.
There.
We have a pool going. Would you like to participate?
Sure.
Just come back at the first of the month, and I'll let you know if you won.
we pick each. All right, gentlemen, pick your days.
Okay, you do that. Then he shows you down the hall.
By the way,
Johnny Diamond is going to look at the pool, look at the man, and say, "I like the way you arrange your odds, sir." And then just pick a random, like without even looking, just plunk his pen down on the pool, and then look at what it is.
Okay, it's like the
And put
fourth.
its mark.
Um,
Doesn't even matter to him. He's just impressed that he's willing to give this guy his share just for coming up with it.
So he shows you down the hall, and he opens up 5 drawers, and these are the victims of the vampires. So, there you go. I'll give you, say, 15 minutes, and I'll be back. Remember, no souvenirs. And he leaves.
thank you.
Look them over.
They are young people, 3 young men and 2 young women. They are pale and slightly shriveled looking, not supernaturally shriveled, just like dehydrated shriveled. And they're dead. And they've had autopsies done. They got the Y incision with the stitches and so forth.
Okay. Where did they know, or can we tell where the blood was drained from?
Oh, they have fairly obvious puncture marks here on their neck.
Really?
None of you have medical training, right?
Mm,
Oh, that
Sorry.
reminds me. I thought of this last week and I completely forgot to mention it. You have experience. Let me double check how much I wanted to give you.
Really?
Yes, you do. Good. Well, you finished like a whole story arc, and I meant to give
Yeah.
you experience, and I kept forgetting. So, hang on a second. So, it's possible one of
So
you
at
actually,
least one of us should have some medical training by now.
you may
One of
have,
us is about to buy some. Yes.
you
One
may
of us
have,
is that into this sort of stuff that we're going to bother with the.
One of us is buying medical. One of us is buying lock picking.
Okay,
I'll buy lock picking if the doctor wants to take it, medical.
I'll take basic.
oh, I was gonna offer lock picking. Come on, Carol.
Right. It seems more Johnny's end, but I'll let Carol have it if I get to. You know what? No, I will. Carol can be our lock picker. If Doc Celadon does the medical, and I will go ahead and take a specialty in something that I really should have a specialty in.
okay, give me a minute.
What is your pointed, sir?
I think this is it. Where did I find it? Oh, here we go. Improving character. Okay. 3. I'll give you 3 experience points each.
Oh, okay. That brings me up to 6. Oh, gee, I could have. Oops. What the hell is?
Buying a skill, a general skill, is 1. Buying expertise in that skill is another 1.
Okay, I gotta spend stuff.
So somebody could take a correspondence course on medical examination and be a doctor or something.
Okay.
There's lock picking right there.
My university studies in biology are coming back to me now.
Makes sense.
Oh, geez. I didn't realize it. I have unspent points. How the heck did I end up with unspent points?
I don't know.
So should I take expertise in culture, sleight of hand, stealth, or lockpicking?
I don't know.
What was I?
Consider how often you use the skill in question.
I know there was this one thing that at least a couple of times now, Brandon has brought up that I have not had expertise in, but I have it, the skill.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like deception, investigation, manipulation, or diplomacy.
Got them all as a skill, as expertise. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. So I don't really need those. So I should go more for like,
Does anybody have
stealth.
tradesman as a skill?
Nay.
No, I don't.
Seems like something Johnny Diamond would have.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Like he should know how to fix a car.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the culture, deception, diplomacy, investigation, manipulation, that sort of thing. Because that is what is expected of someone in my position who does what I do in my position.
Oddly enough, I seem to have ended up as the combat monster.
Oh, I've got a gun. Oh, maybe I need to put an expertise in that.
Okay, so Johnny Diamond takes tradesman, Carol takes lockpicking, and Doc Celadon takes
Medicine.
medicine. Okay, and then we each have 2 points to put to other things.
Or the same thing
That
if you want to be
seems-
like stupid good at
That
it.
seems really reasonable.
Very nice, though, yeah.
I'll have to build something else.
All right. Can we move forward?
Yes,
Who has medicine?
I do.
All right. Make a medicine roll. I'll roll against you. Do you have expertise in it? I'm just curious.
No, just took it as normal.
All right. I was
Okay.
just wondering.
Reason.
Oh, shit. I rolled hella good. 14.
15. So there.
Oh, man. All right.
4 and 5.
Okay, they have puncture marks on their necks, right? You examine the punctures, and there's a word called lividity, which is how skin bruises.
Right.
And you can tell they were alive when these punctures were made. Also, there are bruises around the punctures that indicate like pressure in that area. But it's like here's the puncture, and the pressure around it is like a circular area around each of them. This is not the shape of a mouth, pushing against somebody's throat. It is a puncture with a circular area around it pushing on their throat. Also,
It's a needle with a tube over it.
okay. And also, you determine on all 5 of these, one puncture is on an artery and the other puncture is on a vein, which are the directions that blood pumps.
Right.
Mm.
Doing a quick
I'm
check.
sorry, I just had a dialysis moment.
Ew.
On all 5 of them, both the main artery, and the femoral artery, and the carotid were punctured,
Yes, that is correct.
Jugular, not film.
and jugular. Yeah,
Jugular.
Whatever.
yeah. Interesting.
No, femoral is an entirely different.
Femoral's on your thigh, if I remember correctly. But I knew what he meant, which is the important thing.
Okay.
Okay. Dentition-wise, how far apart are the puncture marks?
Oh, they're, I don't know, yay far.
About as far as like a set of incisors? would
Yes,
be?
about that far, yeah.
That's at least consistent.
And my own medical knowledge is insufficient to know whether that's actually realistic, but we're just going to say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because the carotid is like 3.5 inches deeper than the.
Moving on.
Yeah.
If it's not the carotid, it's some other, but there's like,
No. If
That's
it's
how it
in
works.
the next, it's the carotid and the jugular,
there you go, whatever.
and they're 2 entirely different places that
The
you go.
the important thing is one went into an artery, the other one went into a vein, and they are about this far apart in their puncture marks.
Okay.
So someone's trying to make it look like a vampire.
Curious.
Because otherwise, vampires are like this.
Curious what would the effect on the body be if you're pumping blood out of the vein and the artery at the same time?
Ooh, that's tricky.
Or out of the vein and into the artery, which would blood starve everything upstream of that.
but-
Make a medicine roll, Lloyd. If you roll 9, 10, 11. If you roll
When
is that?
we lost.
Hello? Hello?
There?
Yeah, I lost you for a second there.
Okay.
Yeah, so did I.
But we're all back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you roll 11, I'll give you something. If you roll 14, I'll give you that and one more thing.
14.
Holy shit! All right.
I know. You're great with this medicine.
The thing you get at 11 is damn near every ounce of blood has been pumped out of these people. Like,
Okay.
you look at like their extremities, their fingers, their toes, all that stuff. They are, I mean, they are empty. They're not empty of fluids because you've got fluids other than blood. You've got like all the juice and stuff in your guts and all that, right?
Water
So they're not
stuff like that.
dehydrated. But all of their blood, there's probably not more than 20 milliliters of blood in this whole body. It has been sucked dry. And you're thinking, well, how would they do that? And what you think is, with your 14, is something was pumped in one puncture and sucked out the other. And since you're doing some preliminary checks and the files for these guys are actually on the wall right behind you.
I was
So
going to ask about that.
you're like, if only I had the, oh, there they are. You walk over to that, and you like flip through some medical things in the reports. Yeah, they didn't find any adulterating substances in their veins. You know, it's not like somebody pumped in water and pumped out blood. It wasn't like that. So you're thinking air. You know, somebody like pumped air in one thing, but to get that to work from your throat, they'd have to like hang them upside down. So you're wondering whether there might still be blood in the skull,
Brain, yeah.
but you'd have to cut into them to find that out. The autopsy didn't open their skulls up. It only opened up their midsection, their chest.
Weird. They normally weigh the brain a lot of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, in which
Yeah,
case,
it's
yes,
fairly
they cut
standard.
open their head and the brain was completely full of blood, but nothing else was. Live and learn.
Sorry,
I didn't
I'm
know.
weird about stuff like this.
These people could, in theory, have been conscious right up until the moment of death.
Well, they were alive until they died.
Well, if they're
No,
pumping,
no, but conscious.
They weren't. They don't appear to have been
No,
drugged either.
to
Oh,
lose
that's
your
something else.
brain.
They do not appear to have been drugged.
If you're upside down, you tend to lose consciousness pretty quickly because of the rush of the blood to the head.
well, if they're
And-
pumping air into their bodies, they're gonna
Not until you get to about 3 Gs.
Anyway.
No, like I said, if they're pumping air into their bodies, they're going to die of an embolism within seconds.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. I was about to say, maybe.
I'm not talking about death. I'm talking about consciousness beyond death.
Okay,
yes, but if they're gonna get all the blood out, they gotta get it all. They gotta keep something.
moving
in
on. Moving on.
Okay, so yeah, lots of blood
Doc
Alright.
Celadon.
in their head.
Doc Celadon thinks. Here's what you get. You roll a 14. I'm going to give you just like a truckload of backstory.
Okay.
Doc Celadon thinks they must have been hung upside down, and you go look at like their ankles, and you find lividity marks around their ankles from being bound. So that confirms, or at least supports that theory. They were hung upside down and had the blood sucked out and air pumped in one way. You find more blood in the autopsy report. There was blood found in the skull, like in the brain area. Not as much as there should have been, but some. So you're thinking, like, what was left over just kind of settled there?
Right.
So there's that. Yay. What else? And you got the puncture marks there to give you that. That's pretty much all there is. Oh, and they were alive when the process started, although not when it finished, obviously. And they, as far as the test, for common, they don't test for everything, but like the dozen or so common things they test for, they didn't find. They didn't find opium, anything like that.
Okay.
It makes me wonder what would happen if you did this to a mage, and
They die.
No, but if they maintained their consciousness long enough to enact something.
Moving on.
Honestly,
And she
inserting air
seems
doesn't.
so fixated on it. See if there's any kind of magical traces on the bodies.
Ooh, make some magical rolls. I'll roll against you.
As somebody who has done this with mice.
Ooh, you monster.
Oh, I am a monster. I've only
19.
done with mice. Actually, the maintenance of pressure is more important than at trying to maintain balance of anything. So really, adding air just speeds up the whole process and ruins the whole experiment, anyways.
Embolisms don't kill immediately. It's the pressure differential that does it.
Yeah.
Karen, so if you wanted to suck all the blood out of a person, what you saying air would not be the appropriate thing?
No,
What would
actually,
you put in? Anything?
you just gotta keep the pressure differential. How we do it is we put it in the needle straight into the heart, but the vein would be as well because it would be fine. I mean, a vein or artery would be fine, or both, as long as you were not allowing a loss of suction. We're doing it straight through the bottom and straight into the heart, so we're keeping a suction differential. And we're just the heart stops beating when it just doesn't have enough blood to maintain everything, and it eventually dies of its lack of blood. So really, the human will be the same thing, only on a bigger scale.
I'm gonna go with the air thing just for the fun of it. Okay.
Okay.
Just flow with it.
Okay.
just pretend to make sense and let's flow with it.
Magical check is 19.
You need to go hit a 13, so you did. You're not finding any magical traces on these dead bodies at all.
Okay. All right. So there's no magic on them at all.
I accept. I'm a 6.
They were just exsanguated.
Yes, they were.
They were very efficiently exsanguated from the neck down.
You gotta work fast too, because sheer volume.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like 8 liters,
and
give or
from
take?
the neck down too.
The fact that they're hanging up upside down actually does help because the important part of the body is from here to here, and if the brain or the heart dies, you lose the blood volume, because you're actually using the fact that the heart's still pumping it to collect. And yes, I'm sick. I did this for a living.
Yeah.
So hanging them upside down, we didn't have to do this. We laid them on their back.
I can't imagine them hanging upside down.
Larger individual. I haven't even thought about this with humans. Smaller individuals, so whatever.
Hey, there's a on the door, and this guy peeks back in. He's like, "Hello. Are we all done?
Yes, we are.
Did you have fun?
Oh,
Hope so."
Johnny Diamond actually looks at the guy and goes, "The exsanguation is fantastic."
Really,
It's
quite remarkable, isn't it? As far as I can tell, like
exquisite.
every drop, clean as a whistle.
Except
All gone.
the head.
Well, it's always going to be some leftovers.
Yes, but except the brain. They could have been thinking after their body was exsanguated. Isn't
Good Lord,
that
I hope not.
fascinating?
That'd be horrible. I mean,
Well, most likely
more
they lost
horrible, I guess.
consciousness.
All right then. Well, run along. I do have important work to do.
Sir.
Oh, although, Carol, if you'd like to come back later and have a private tour.
Unfortunately, I do have to be at work in the morning. Pleasure, though. Maybe some other time.
One of the benefits of the graveyard shift is that my days are my own. Lunch, perhaps?
Oh, I look over to Carol and look at him and say, "What's today? Is Friday?"
Friday.
Friday?
Hey, sweetie.
Hey, Susan.
Hi, Susan. Night, Susan.
She says hello and good night. So what you're saying to Carol? I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
What evilness were you saying to Carol? Yes, please.
Yeah. No, I gotta get it back in my head now.
I will point out he's had a whole bottle of wine at least.
About a bottle and a half.
Oh, this reminds me of something.
'Cause- but,
Very nice. Very nice. If you can ask this guy questions if you like. I mean,
I haven't thought of
He
anything.
is
I
there.
don't have a medical.
Yeah, no,
And also,
no, okay, so it's Friday.
Mhm.
Johnny Diamond mentions to the fella that tomorrow's lunch special is oysters.
sounds delicious. and what restaurant would it be?
Cafe Azir Americana.
I've heard of that. That's the place where that uncouth American, right? Runs the place?
Yes,
really wretched.
I desperately enjoy owning it.
Oh, you're the owner. Okay. Well, I meant uncouth in the best possible way. I've heard the music is great, though. Haven't had a chance to stop by. Looking forward to it. Maybe tomorrow.
But please do so.
I do believe I will be there at lunchtime tomorrow if these two gentlemen have anything to do with it.
Do you have any other questions about the bodies before you take off?
No.
He seems friendly enough. He'll answer your questions.
I ask about the ligature marks and any other. Well, it would all be in the Rosa reports, right?
Mhm. That would, yeah. Yeah, the ligature marks are in the autopsy. They're not incompetent. I mean, they did find them.
I look at the fella and go, so any idea if these people knew each other or not?
That is an excellent question. I've no idea. But they're all very young. I'm thinking probably runaways, homeless shelters, that sort of thing. I told the police that when they came by. Of course, they were all like, vampires, so who knows?
Yes, but of course the vampire.
I mean, it obviously is vampires, but I mean, well, whatever.
I think that is an excellent place to start. Thank you.
He points over at a countertop where there is a big, like, string of garlic cloves or bulbs. What do you call the big ones?
Bulbs.
Bulbs. Garlic bulbs, and there's a great big ass. It's not silver. It's pewter cross, but very ornate pewter cross, about yay big, with a stand and some sharpened wooden stakes. He's like, they insisted I keep these, just in case one of the corpses gets up and.
Have they been identified?
No, not yet.
How long were they dead? How long did the autopsy show that they had been dead before they were retrieved?
Oh, that was actually in the reports you read.
Oh, okay.
The most recent one was probably a week ago. The rest have been refrigerated. I mean, obviously refrigerated. Like there's evidence in their tissues of ice crystallization.
Right.
But they estimate that the longest to go may even have been a couple of months.
I wonder if we can get a couple copies of pictures of them to take home to homeless shelters.
Are
Seeing
you
as
going to ask him for pictures?
yeah,
The police will already have taken them. I'd like
they
to.
would have taken them to
Yeah.
homeless shelters though, unless they actually believed him.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you
Johnny.
what. If I were you, and I were looking for where these people came from, these young people came from, because they're all young. They're all like 17 to 20. I would check St. Benedict Mission House. That's probably the largest homeless shelter, runaway shelter in Cambrai-sur-Mer. That's where I would look. If I were you.
Absolutely.
If I were looking into it.
Johnny, do you think you can get a copy of the police report? Is your inspector desperate enough to give that up?
No, not certain, but I could try.
Maybe if he had
Maybe,
SIT
maybe
pressuring
if,
him.
yes, maybe if the SIT asked him for
Unofficially, of
Yeah,
course.
I keep forgetting that we've
unofficially, of course. Yes.
I think unofficially the SIT needs to pay him a visit.
Yeah, it would actually make sense for the SIT to ask for a copy of the police report anyway. So
Unofficially.
there's a possibility of their involvement. So.
Unofficially.
Exactly. Great, let's do that then.
Yes.
Okay. The next day is Saturday, but police do work every day.
Yes.
So-
I'm gonna go find him. Unless the gentleman want to come with me, I'm gonna go find him and lean on him.
And
Just do it before lunch because you've got a date.
Apparently. Let's see if he actually shows up.
You call the police department and ask about Detective Inspector Seagal. They tell you the last time he checked in, he was at a cafe at the corner of Rue de Ormond. You go over to Rue de Ormond, which is around the corner from Café Azure American. You go over to Rue de Ormond. They have cafe au lait and beignets and other foods with French names. And
God, this food is extremely French.
I walk in.
no, he's out on the cafe on the sidewalk at a table, drinking coffee, reading the newspaper.
I will sit down.
He looks up at you, and he recognizes you. He's seen you many times. He's like, "Oh,
Yes, sir.
Mademoiselle Desjardins.
Yes.
How are you?"
Coffee here is not as good as at the Cafe American. But
No,
I
but
will-
then what is?
Indeed. I came here not for the coffee, but to talk to you anyway.
Really? Mademoiselle, I'm a married man, so we'll have to be discreet. Perhaps later?
I was thinking more along the lines of unofficially SIT interest.
Oh. And here I thought this was a... Okay.
A social call, I do
Yes.
apologize.
No, it's okay. I can't seem to escape this.
I was hoping
What would you like to
free
know?
you of it.
Hmm?
I was hoping to eventually help free both you and the entire area of it.
How may I be of service?
Well, although I am officially SIT, I'm coming to you unofficially. Please be aware of that.
All right, I won't make a note of this in my copious, detailed reports.
Thank you, sir. I have been asked by Higher Than Me to help alleviate the situation, as it were. However, I need a little more information, and I figured you would be the best to come to.
What do you need to know?
I would like some reports on the matter. I know you can't. I was hoping you'd be able to give me copies. I know unofficially you shouldn't, but if SIT has to make it official, then we have to ask for this, and we don't want to make it official. If you catch my drift.
I think that I do. What do you want?
I would like reports on the
It's a copy of the police report. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Police reports on the case.
Oh, certainly. Like everything or anything in particular, or?
Let's start. I might as well ask for everything. I might catch something that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Now, if this is officially unofficial or unofficially officially unofficial, where would you like the reports sent? I don't have them on me. I don't carry that sort of thing around.
Oh, of course not. Let's keep it unofficial and send it to the Cafe Americano just so that it stays unofficial to me. Or would you like preferred to my office? My secretary is okay. Then fine. My address. Pick one of the three.
Now,
My secretary.
please understand, my interest in your address is purely professional. But I think that would be for the best, don't you?
I probably will agree. My secretary's. It is the weekend, and my secretary is off, and I don't want it on record that I asked
Very well.
for the.
He takes out his notebook and you tell him your address and he writes it
Yes.
down. All right, I should have that for you by. He looks at a clock on a post on a street corner. He goes, by 3 o'clock. Would that be okay?
Fantastic. That'll be perfect.
Splendid. Those are splendid. All right then. Now we can enjoy our coffee, unless there was something else you wanted.
No, nothing else at all.
No.
I will go ahead and have coffee since I did.
So how long have you known Mr. Diamond?
A little too long, if you'll agree. If you'll agree.
I think Henry Samir is more interesting for having him in it.
Oh, absolutely. I will agree with that. And I've known him for. I would give him the number, the amount of time.
It's been a couple of years at this point.
At this point, yeah. It's been an
So-
interesting couple of years.
So you guys make small talk. The afternoon passes by. 3 o'clock, give or take, a courier shows up at your apartment with a package about this thick.
Perfect.
It's the medical examiner's report, which you've already looked at, but you've now got a copy of. A bunch of pictures the police took of the bodies.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's weird. They have identified 2 of the 5 bodies, and you've got what very sketchy information about those 2 people. They identified them through fingerprints and the other one through dental records. The other 3 they don't have identification on yet, but they are still looking into it.
But of course, they'll
let's see
have
what else.
pictures of these, probably of like their headshots, dead bodies.
Yeah.
Somewhat
Tons of photographs.
Okay, somewhat offensive, but still possibly safe enough to show to, say, somebody if we went to someplace.
I mean, they look dead, but yeah. They're
Yeah.
not gruesome. They're just dead.
Dead. All right, perfect. All right, happily accept said package and then head to the cafe where I presume eventually I will find 2 gentlemen who would be interested in such knowledge.
Okay. Did either of you guys do anything between last night and now that I should know about?
Sleep!
Sleep!
Exactly. That's about it.
Okay.
Show up and go, oh, it's so nice when I can pretend to be unofficially official instead of unofficially unofficial.
Sure, that makes sense.
Slam the 2-inch pack of package down onto the table. Flunk.
Oh, excellent. Start going through it. Have they identified who the truck belonged to?
Yes! Actually, hang on. I had a name for that. Where's the truck? I have a note for that somewhere. Where's the van? Oh, come on. I had a thing for it and everything.
You had a thing?
I had a
Cool.
thing.
Got the thing?
Frassen. It is a cargo van. Okay. Alright, hang on. I'm not finding. Let me do search for van. It's in my notes somewhere. It's a white panel van. According to the police report, I'll go ahead and read you this stuff. During a Mrs. Grady, age 73, rear-ended a white panel van, popping the van's back door and causing 2 sheet-wrapped corpses to fall on the crumbled hood of her vehicle.
Which point she screamed.
At which point, the police were called for with some amount of distress. So,
Okay.
unfortunately, between her distress and poor eyesight, she did not notice a driver who was nowhere to be found once authorities arrived. The van, I don't know, Citroen something, had its VIN removed, other identifiable serial numbers destroyed, and had stolen license plates that tracked back to a van of the same make and model that had been in storage for the past 8 months. The plates could have been stolen any time since then. The forensics showed no usable prints on the van. So there you go. So that's what we know about the van. Oh, the van is at this moment in a police impound lot across town.
Did they find any other stuff in the van or on the bodies?
No.
Exceedingly unhelpful.
No, it's almost as though they didn't want anyone to find any evidence in the van.
Also exceedingly unhelpful. I'll go plant some evidence on the van, just so it'll lapse.
Okay, so there you go. That's really all you know. You know where it is, but they didn't find anything on it.
Okay, so St. Benedict's, I believe, or whatever that was.
Oh, that was the St. Benedict Mission House. That's the place that Dr. Martin mentioned as being a particularly noteworthy, like, halfway house for runaways, that kind of deal.
All right, sounds like the place to check out next.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Since I've got you here, I may as well tell you. The victims, the ones they found, the 5 in the back of the van, the 2 they've identified, one is a female, age 16, identified through fingerprints. She's got a criminal record for solicitation and drug possession, marijuana. And in apparent good health with no diseases or other major health issues. Cause of death, blood loss. The other one is male, age 18, identified through dental records. No criminal record, previously employed as a gopher, essentially, at a stockbroker agency. No finances or residence, believed indigent after losing everything in the stock market earlier this year. In apparent good health, with no diseases or other major health issues, cause of death, blood loss. And the other 3 are cause of death, blood loss, and no major diseases or health issues, but they don't know who they are. They're age 18, age 16, approximately age 16 to 18, both of them.
It's really weird to try and get your head around a 1960s forensic system as opposed to like a modern day 21st century forensic system. They can identify the person. They can identify the vehicle. Really? What? Why not?
Oh, one thing. This is worth pointing out. The police don't routinely use magical stuff to do detective work. I mean, that's like a specialized department. There's like normal forensic investigation, and then I'm trying to think of like something analogous nowadays. Like if they found if they found like an antique revolver at a crime scene, like there is a guy at the police department who specializes in that, but it's one guy.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like that. If they find something magic or that they think is magic, it'll go to that guy, and he's in the sub basement surrounded by shelves full of freaky shit, and he'll try to figure out what it is. But it's not routine that they do that. So the van has not been examined magically for where it went or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay. That's what you got. 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
All right. See if we can go to St. Benedict's and see if we can identify some people.
Alrighty. You head to St. Benedict Mission House, which is, as it was described to you, a place where homeless people, mainly young people, runaways, go for a bed and a meal and etc. It's not really somewhere you stay during the day, so there's not a whole lot of people there now. indigestion. So I had nachos for dinners. Give me
Oh,
indigestion.
nice.
Well, they were good nachos, but still. Yeah. So somebody, young guy, 20s, let's say, he greets you and asks if you can help. And there's other various couple of people roaming around, but it seems mostly empty this time of day.
Okay. See if you can identify any of the dead people we got. Do you know any of these people?
I'll take a look at them. Wow. Okay, he rolled reasonably well on all three. He's like, yes, I recognize all three of these, and he gives their names to you. He's like, this is.
Okay.
He doesn't know last names. He just remembers their first names. This is so and so, and this is so and so, and this is so and so. Are they dead?
I'm afraid so, yes.
Oh. I'm so sorry to hear that. But then again, as you can imagine, a lot of the people who find their way to us don't. Not as many find their path from here as we would like. We do try.
I understand. Is there any connection between any of those people? Did they know each other?
I really don't know. Did not roll well on that.
Okay.
So,
Is there-
I don't know. I don't think he holds up like this one and this one. He's like, I don't think these two were here at the same time.
Okay.
I seem to recall this fellow being around at the same time as she was, but I couldn't tell you whether they knew each other. You know, really, if you want to know more, you should probably talk to Dr. Fanu, who's the administrator of the place,
Oh, is he
of the
available?
mission. She is, yes. If you wait here, and I'll go get her.
Okay.
And he asks you to sit down somewhere, and he goes and finds Dr. Fanu, who I think I had a picture of. Let me see. Oh, come
Is
on,
she
do I not?
creepy?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, is she hideous? Is she creepy? Does she have enormous protruding fangs?
Where did I put it? Oh, here she is. Dr. Fanu. Here we go. She comes out, and she looks around. She sees you guys, and she walks over, and she says, I'm Dr. Fanu. Can I help you? You were asking
Yes.
about... And she'll name the names of the people you were asking about.
Yes, and I'm gonna make up a bullshit story about the fact that I'm a doctor and I'm working with the Camaret Severe Police Department, and we're trying to identify these people and find out if they had anything in common and things like that.
Oh. Well, please come with me to my office. I'll help you as much as I can.
Excellent.
You know
And
what? Not a
she...
single bit of that was a lie.
Technically, yes.
It's not so much what you lie about as how you arrange the lies.
I just wanted to say everything he said was the exact truth.
She invites you into her office. She goes out into the hallway to get a third chair because she only had two in front of her desk. She puts it in front of her desk. She sits at her desk and she looks at the pictures and she's like, these people are dead. Are you telling me that they're all dead?
I'm afraid so, yes. Haven't you heard about the vampire murders? It was in all the papers.
Well, of course I've read it. I had no idea.
Do a sense aura on her.
I roll some dice.
Okay. $15.
She seems genuinely distressed.
Okay.
So let's see. I've forgotten what Sensora does. Hang on, I gotta look it up. Oh, Sensora, I've got a tab. Let's see. Invisible emanations, league with entities. Oh, has the character been in league with entities from beyond the mortal world? No. Her aura would be powerful, sociable, detail-oriented, Not easygoing, no. Compassionate, no. Calm, no. Sense of nature, no. Red. In a with tinges of orange.
Okay.
So, I'll read it to you since we're here. Red. In a positive light, red indicates a healthy ego, someone powerful, sensual, passionate, energetic. In a negative light, red indicates anger, an unforgiving nature, or anxiety. Orange, because there's like a strong orange overtone.
Yep.
In a positive light, orange indicates productivity and creativity, someone sociable, detail-oriented, and courageous. In a negative light, it can indicate stress and addictions. So, just depends what you think. You spent a point for that, right? To buy that?
Yeah.
So, is it useless? It's like, hey, I can tell your astrological zodiac future, which is completely useless. So, but anyway, it gives you something anyway. It does give you this. She has not been in league with entities from beyond the mortal world. That's something you get.
Okay.
Yeah, but she just seems genuinely distressed at this. So I'll help you any way I can. What do you need to know? I can give you their names. Do you need their names?
Go ahead and get the names from her too.
We perform. I'm a doctor. Well, in addition to being a nun, I'm also a doctor.
Okay.
So, because St. Benedict's is run by the church. I assume you knew that, right?
Yes.
In addition to being a nun, I'm also a doctor. So, we do full medical examinations on everyone who comes in because you would be sadly surprised at just how many have. Well, anything from gonorrhea, syphilis, malnutrition, extremely common. So we do a full medical makeup of everyone who comes in. So she goes over to her filing cabinet and she looks through files and eventually she finds the files of these three and she puts them on the desk in front of her and she says, well, if they're dead, I guess there's no point in my holding on to them. And you did, Andrew said you were with the police?
Yes.
She looks at you a bit skeptically because you guys don't look like the police. So may I see some identification?
It's my turn to play the game. All right, fine. Whip it out.
You whip out your SIT identification. She looks at that and she's like, "Oh,
yeah." Do not mention
well,
that.
okay. Well, you can. She hands you her files.
And please, I wasn't here.
Keep still.
We're trying to keep this on the down low. Because we're trying to keep because there's a conflict on who has this.
We don't want public opinion to suddenly start thinking vampires.
That's all the newspaper is saying is vampires. Why would you think it's not vampires?
We don't want either opinion, but
because we've read the autopsy reports and it's not vampires.
Are you certain? Well, if you're certain, all right. Well, here are all of my files, medical reports. There's really not anything unusual or interesting, or well, I mean, it's tragic, yes, but I mean, so and so, one of the girls, she had syphilis and gonorrhea. This boy had a form of blood pathogen called hepatitis. Not really dangerous. Results in sores around the mouth and other areas. And she'll tell you about them and how most of the stuff was treatable, some wasn't. And she had no reason to suspect that any of them, after they left, would come to this kind of end. And she does tell you when they each left. I mean, there's the dates they checked in, the dates they left to go somewhere else. Two of them has notes that they went to go stay with a relative. It doesn't give details, it just says went to stay with a relative. The third one just says left on such and such date. Two of them, the dates overlap, and one doesn't.
Okay.
The furthest one to go was like a month ago.
Did any of them know one another?
So all of these were in some way infected?
Well,
Gonorrhea and
Could
that sort of stuff. We've antibiotics. Was
it's all
usable
well other than
vaccine.
the hepatitis, which is not strictly it's treatable, but it's not curable. But everything
Oh,
else they
yeah.
had is simply bacteriological infections. We gave them antibiotics, and they were fine.
But it is still a common thread.
Well, you
No, she said three of them had infections of one form or another.
we only
Most
gave
of
her
the
three. I
bacteria.
thought you only gave her the three that had not been identified. Did you show them the other show her the other two as well?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I misunderstood that. Then yeah, she'll identify them as well. She'll give you their things as well. Of the other two, let's see. In that case, let's say 2 of the 5 were malnourished. 2 had some kind of STD, and 1 had hepatitis,
Okay.
which she
I
thinks
would-
was probably caused from sharing needles.
So basically, honestly, because of the 3 types of diagnoses, it's not a diagnosis that's holding them together.
No, there's no medical commonality between them.
Mm-mm.
But they were all here. All 5 of them were at one time or another here at this place.
It would appear so.
Okay. She's got records on all 5 of the people, right?
Yes, she does, and she gives them to
When
you.
was when were the dates that they were? Find out what dates they arrived. Find out what dates they left.
Oh, all since I have to retread a little bit. So you gave her the 5. The the oldest one checked in 5 weeks ago, checked out 4 weeks ago, and
Okay.
the others kind of like overlap off and on since then. The most recent one left 4 days ago.
All right. Check and see who in the autopsy report shows the greatest amount of freezing damage.
Oh, it correlates.
Okay. So they were all killed at approximately the same time then. Or they were killed and then frozen and then brought out at approximately the same time.
Hmm.
Do you think the people who come here are in danger? Is someone targeting us? Do you think it's vampires targeting the young people here because they're vulnerable?
Well, I mean,
Or,
vampire.
or simply targeting. It is someone targeting people who are vulnerable.
And people who come here are vulnerable. So,
They absolutely are. I want to help as much as I can. What can we do to help keep them safe?
Give her all of the standard litany of don't let them travel by themselves. Make sure you travel in groups. If possible, try and keep them here and keep them, under surveillance so that they're wandering off on their own, stuff like that. But I mean, other than that,
We'll do what we can, but they're not prisoners. I mean, everyone who comes here voluntarily and leaves here the same way. Not everyone even tells us when they go. But
but giving
But
them
we'll do
the
what we can.
advice might help them.
how many people work here? Just out of curiosity.
it varies day by day. We have a lot of volunteers. I would say close to a dozen on a good day. Maybe only the sisters on a bad day. Maybe 3 or 4.
Okay. Brandon, it's 10:30. You want to keep going, or
Oh, we can wrap up. This is like a fairly. Once you're done with her, we can wrap up.
okay? I'll ask her the standard investigative police questions kind of stuff, but really off the top of my head, I got that she herself doesn't appear to be high on my suspect list at the moment, but I'm pretty sure somebody who works here is. So we're gonna have to poke around a little, I think.
Yeah, somebody's telling somebody something.
Oh, she's more than happy to give you full access to the mission.
Cool. And she thinks we work for the secret police, so we can start, break up the rubber hoses and the bright lights. Yeah.
Indeed, you could. I
Are
shall
you-
instruct her staff to give you full cooperation.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right, I guess we can wrap up there. Okay, where's my thingy? There we go.
Yeah, I think.
Any parting thoughts before we go?
I've modified my character sheet so that I can put magical items on it now and spend experience points.
Cool. Awesome.
I took
great.
out supernatural gifts because I didn't have any of those.
Alrighty.
But there's a way in there that you can custom add gifts and then spend points for them. So.
I am an expert on way too many things now.
I am not, so it's good that you're around.
Somebody should be. Okay, here we go. This has been Rough Magic with our special guests, Donald Von Griffin, Kieran Torres, Lloyd Montgomery, and me, UGM, Brandon Blackmore. You would think that with vampires and a serial killer that I could come with some kind of pithy, fun closing comment, but I don't have one. I guess do your best to avoid vampires and serial killers. So, have a good night, everybody.
All right, see you all next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.